Our first story today deals with something you wouldn't think would be very controversial because it's pretty much a part of almost everybody's life.
We're talking about milk, although not just any kind of milk.
In this case, we're talking about raw milk.
Ooh, and just wait until you see the heated passions that a little glass of this white liquid can arouse.
It doesn't look very controversial until you start asking about what happened to it before it arrived in this glass. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration says that for safety reasons, milk needs to be pasteurized, heated to at least 160 degrees. Milk not pasteurized is known as raw milk, which the FDA says can harbor dangerous microorganisms. But now pasteurization is increasingly under attack.
That makes the milk, quote, safe to drink, but it doesn't make it healthy to drink.
Ron Schmid is an author and a naturopathic physician who's an expert on this topic.
Pasteurization heats the milk to at least 160 degrees or so, even higher for ultra-pasteurized. And in the process, it kills harmful bacteria. It also kills all of the beneficial bacteria that make fresh food what human beings thrive upon. So you wind up with a dead food.
In place of that dead food, Dr. Schmid and others recommend raw milk. Sally Fallon Morell is president of a foundation that's focused on improving nutrition in the U.S.
I can't think of anything more wasteful that we do than to pasteurize our milk, because what pasteurization does, it doesn't get rid of the nutrients in the milk, it destroys the enzymes that you need to absorb those nutrients. And raw milk is a complete meal in a glass. It's very easy to absorb and a particularly important food for growing children.
It's rich in animal fat, which is good. Animal fats are from quality animals are the best thing in the world for people, and most people are starving for the nutrients that are in the animal fat.
The FDA says health claims for raw milk are not supported by scientific evidence. But physicians like Dr. Lindy Woodard of Mill Valley, California, say they've had a very different experience.
I've had a number of situations in my practice where I had children that were sick from all kinds of reasons, particularly allergies and gut issues. And I have found that raw milk has actually healed them.
As part of a natural foods diet that features fresh vegetables and various kinds of animal foods from quality grass-fed animals, raw milk is an integral part and basically can be part of a diet that will reverse, indeed, I don't like the word cure, but reverse chronic disease and get people to the point where it's not there anymore, and it won't be there as long as they keep eating that way.
Joseph Heckman is a professor of soil science at Rutgers University who's examined the controversy and also had personal experience with raw milk.
When I grew up drinking raw milk, I was fine. Then I went off to college, and I was away from it, and then I just had to drink grocery store dairy products. And then I came down with a very bad case of allergies and suffered from that for about a decade before I returned to raw milk. And now I have really good relief. Not perfect, but my allergy symptoms have mostly disappeared.
Most people that I've experienced in practice in the last 30 years are fine with quality raw milk, and that's because raw milk has all of the enzymes intact, and the enzymes help digest the raw milk.
It does function differently. I mean, like, for example, the studies out of Europe, the epidemiological studies that have shown that children that grow up drinking raw milk, they have less problems with allergies and asthma.
Although raw milk is widely available in Europe, it's not only discouraged by federal officials in the U.S., it's actually outlawed in about 1/3 of U.S. states, which only permit the sale of pasteurized milk.
Some of the history that led to the need to do pasteurization in the first place was due to very sloppy dairy practices where cows were fed in confinement. They were not fed their natural diet. They were fed whiskey swill 100 years ago, and these cows were sickly. It wasn't their natural grass-green diet. We've gone to mechanical milkers. We have much more scientific knowledge now about microbiology, about how to make the food safe. We have testing programs, inspection programs, showing that it can be produced safely.
You do need to make sure that the milk comes from pasture-fed cows in an operation with a good focus on cleanliness. But what people don't realize is that raw milk contains antimicrobial components, particularly enzymes that kill pathogens. It's very hard to find pathogens in raw milk because if they get there by mistake, they are quickly taken care of by these components in the milk. And all of those are destroyed by pasteurization.
The FDA says that since 1998, more than 800 people in the U.S. have gotten sick from drinking raw milk or eating cheese made from it. And the agency says only pasteurized milk is safe.
There are those that are opposed to having the choice of raw milk. They would like you to believe, or at least they imply, that pasteurization guarantees safety. And the fact of the matter is, it doesn't. I mean, the scientific record clearly shows that there have been outbreaks from the consumption of pasteurized milk. As a matter of fact, one of them was a massive outbreak back in the 1980s when over 168,000 people were sickened from salmonellosis, and it was pasteurized milk. And there's been a series of outbreaks since then. One of the most notable recent examples is a case of pasteurized milk being linked to the death of 3 people in Massachusetts, and in that case it was listeria.
So it's actually more dangerous to drink pasteurized milk than raw milk. And we can just look at the statistics. We have looked at the numbers. We've done the number crunching. You're 35,000 times more likely to become ill from other foods than you are from raw milk on a per-serving basis.
Raw milk from healthy grass-fed animals is a traditional food that human beings have used for at least 10 or 12,000 years and thrived on. It's a wonderful food, and the problem really is its lack of availability in the United States because of draconian laws about it. It's a corporate agenda. Some 4 or 5 companies control all of the dairy sales in the United States, and they're very happy to have no raw milk available anywhere. In 1946, there were over 1 million farms, with an average of 8 cows each, selling raw milk to their neighbors and friends. And those farms are all lost. There are some 90,000 left, and they're largely big operations with hundreds of cows and not out on pasture and selling milk that has to be pasteurized because if it wasn't, it would be dangerous.
A Raw Milk Institute has been launched to help farmers who want to get into that business. And if they have their way, a new generation will grow up with a very different view of this basic food called milk.